Wake up, wake up, wake up. And if you shut up, you just might learn something. Welcome to Elevate and Illuminate, the Empowerment Podcast, episode number 8. We rolling right on through this season. I'm Jamarcus Fields, your host. I'm the founder and executive director of Iron Sharpens Iron WAST. WAST. We are stronger together. Where our mission is to empower and equip at risk youth and justice involved individuals for successful reintegration into society. As I mentioned before, this is episode number 8, man. It's good to be back. It's always a wonderful feeling to elevate and illuminate my people. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for following. I thank you for smashing that subscribe button. As we continue to grow this brand. Make sure y'all tap into the website, Iron Sharpens Iron, WAST.org, where you can find all things Iron Sharpens Iron. Check out our calendar, see what we got going on, what events we doing in the communities, just kind of keep up on, the Iron Men, get to meet and know our board members. You feel led to, help and volunteer. Again, we seeking board members right now. You can do all of that through the website. You feel led to support financially. There's a donation page on the website. So make sure y'all tap in and continue to support what we do as we continue to push this mission forward, and change the narrative and have a profound impact. With that, I am going to step aside and I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself, the one and only. The floor is yours.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing today, man? Listen here, man. Thank you for inviting me for the second time. This is round number 2 for me. I was on the first episode, no, the second episode of season 1. And so if
Right.
y'all chance, go check that out. But I am Thomas Hunter, known as Foodstamp, also known as Mr. Omaha Omaha. And the last time I was on this podcast, we actually addressed my namesake. So if you get a chance after you subscribe, man, go back and check them few episodes out, man. We hit some pretty hard things, man. So definitely go check out them past episodes as we build up and the brother keep on building up his audience, man, and keep on supporting.
That part. Housekeeping note: the chat room is open. So at any point during this conversation, anybody have any questions they want to ask, feel led to just want to say something to contribute to the conversation. The chat room is open, so y'all have at it. Y'all can either pose questions to us or chat with each other, meet and greet, do what you do. But the chat room is open. Um, so I know we touched on this a little bit the last time, but for those who this is their first time tapping in, man, I've always been moved by you as an individual since I met you. And I always tell people when I meet good people at any juncture in life, no matter the environment, I keep good people close to me. I don't let them get away. Like when I meet good people, like we locked in for life.
For sure.
um, so I've always been moved by you, but like your story, like you came home under some different circumstances than most individuals. So before I rewind the tape and go back inside off the dribble, I want to touch on your circumstances coming home and what that whole process was like. Because not only was it different, like I clearly seen the hand of God in your situation. From the word go to the time your feet hit the pavement to this very moment we on this podcast. So I want you to talk about that just a little bit before we go back.
Okay. So just a little bit, man. So if people don't know, first off, initially I was threatened with the death penalty, right?
Mm.
I took a plea bargain to get a number of years, which was 63. At that time, do half of your time, 31 and a half. I did a sentence modification year 21, after I got my 4 years time cut, I did educate myself when I was in there. So
Mm.
minus 4 years, I had approximately about 6.5 years remaining, and I modified my sentence. Modified my sentence. By the grace of God, I was granted to be able to have my sentence transition from DOC time to home detention. And the home detention journey started a whole new journey. If y'all don't know Mr. Omaha represents a lifestyle. It represents a change in thinking. It represents a change in motion. I mean, it represents an audible. It represents a shift. It represents any of those words that you could think that would be an anonym to the word shift. And the thing about it is, coming home, being immediately released, there was no way to prepare.
That part.
So that's one of the things that people have to realize is like preparation is everything. And there was no way to prepare for it immediately release when the system had already trained you to be a model prisoner by defying the rules of society.
Mm.
So from that, the modification process was immediately go home. You had to have a place to stay, be on house arrest under strict regulation, and then find your way. And the process in itself, the regulation, I think that it was in a way good for me. And it was good for me because you can move too fast and find yourself facing different consequences than people in normal society won't necessarily face.
Okay.
Primary example, on home detention, if I would have went to my neighbor's house and borrowed some sugar, I would have been in prison.
That's crazy.
You know, so this is the regulation. This is when people say, ah, you know, uh, I'd rather do such and such and such and such than rather doing time. Man, I'm starting to realize some of the things that's going on out here in the world. Why some of these brothers literally can't get rid of some of the scum that you get from prison, because that comes with a certain dependency of being taken care of.
Mm. Talk to us.
So normally as a child of the adolescence, like we literally like want our independence. Can't wait to get out of the house with mom. Can't wait to get off into the streets, the job field, whatever lifestyle we choose, right? And that independence, it goes away once you're incarcerated by force, because now we're forcing you to depend on us. So now we're gonna feed you, we're gonna clothe you, we're gonna house you. What else do you need to survive in society? But I'm just asking, because if you supply all these things for me and I just get the mosey on alone, then everything is cool. Only thing you require is that I do long distance relationships with no physical contact. Is that all?
Wow.
The thing about it is, it eliminates the humanity aspect, because we literally need physical contact in order to keep our sanity on par line with general society. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So that the house arrest thing, like I say, it was eye opening. It was an opportunity, and from there it transitioned. I'm no longer on house arrest, and what I realized was that because I'm a man on a mission, it didn't matter what I perceived as a roadblock. I literally took that as an opportunity, because
Right.
the opportunity was this: stay in prison, do house arrest. You know what I mean? Your
Okay.
Honor, I'm really not prepared to go to house arrest today because my plan ain't ready to be executed. Let me do a couple of more years. That's what I that's what I would have had to say in order to not be immediately released. So I got the blessing that people dream for, not prepared for, but still took advantage of the opportunity. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm almost like shedding so much of that, that time in my life because there's so many other things that's going on. You know what I mean? It's almost like I can't forget where I come from, but I'm no longer paranoid. You know what I mean? Because
Right,
you always, first off, you want to do the right thing, so you ain't got to look over your shoulders and you ain't got to
right,
watch all the time. And even now, I'm still under restriction. My sentence actually don't end until 2029.
okay,
But if you don't know me from my past or know me from some of the things we do through Iron Sharpens Iron, a lot of people don't even know I've even been incarcerated.
right.
And so me still having an out day, I don't forget that I got it, but I don't live like it's hanging over my head. That's just another goal that I gotta reach.
No doubt.
Only person can hold me back is me. So I'm ready to move forward, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I live so freely now. I found myself just doing too much sometimes.
Right.
It's doing too much. But yeah, like I say, it all comes down to Omaha. Omaha being able to make an audible in any given time. And I'm applying that in every aspect of my life.
Mhm. That part. And you can see it too. So we got a lot of people in the chat just to acknowledge those in the chat. Rico J locked in. Steph said, "What's up, Mr. Omaha? Omaha." Got Kevin Johnson in here, Erica Brady, Lisa Campbell, everybody sending love. Kevin defining the rules of society. Wow, strong. Steph said, "Ain't free if you can't go to your neighbor and borrow some sugar." Just that small human act could send someone back behind the wall. That is crazy. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's serious.
PM told one of us to get some better Wi-Fi, bum. House arrest was a blessing. Man on a mission will guide you every time. Good for you. You prepared yourself. Absolutely. You don't look like what you've been through. That's God. That's what you call freedom. 2029 ain't blocked you from your mind and goals. Facts.
Mm.
And that's the difference, man. Like, you know, we cashing in on our second chance. A lot of individuals don't do that. That recidivism rate says that 72% of the guys go back within 3 years of being incarcerated. So we making good of our second chance. And when you doing the right thing, as we both probably are for the first time in our life, like feel different. It's a level of peace that come with that. That's why that 2029 don't hang over your head.
Yeah.
I tell people, and I was just telling some guys this earlier today. You have to make the thought of going back to prison taste like poop in your mouth. The thought. Nowhere on this planet are you gonna let somebody walk up to you and shove some poop down your throat. That's how the thought of going back to prison has to be when we come home. And the peace that comes with, man, I've looked at myself in the mirror countless times, man, and asked myself what took me so long to get here.
Mm.
Like, what took me so long to get here, man? Like, life is peaceful. So, like, you don't think about that 2029 because you're not doing nothing to jeopardize the second chance that you've been given.
Nothing.
You just you just passing time to 2029 year.
Nothing. You hear me? Can't
You know
wait to
what I mean? And
can't wait.
that's wonderful to like even to even see that, man. Like I swear, man, when I look at at the Iron Man, man, and and it's not just the Iron Man, but when I look at the Iron Man, like so much joy flows through me, man, because I remember a season in our journey when none of this seemed possible. And
Mm,
I'm not even talking about the freedom. I'm talking about the mental shift we had to go through. It just didn't seem possible. I mean, and all of us educated. Earlier you mentioned, you got your 4 years time cut and you educated yourself. Like when he say 4 year time cut, he mean associate's and bachelor's degree. Like
without a doubt.
we all educated ourselves, but even in the midst of that, like that seemed like it seemed like a no brainer on the journey, but like it still didn't cause the mental shift.
Nah.
It helped propel us on the journey, but like years after we got them bachelor degrees, like we were still off the chain.
Without.
So so with that, let me ask you, because you mentioned like you was facing the death penalty.
Right.
So not having gotten the death penalty, it ended up with a sentence. They take me back to when Big Head, when Patrick Cox was on here, and he mentioned how he was originally sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
Right.
So when he got his case overturned, he was happy to receive a 60-year sentence.
Right.
So knowing you just fought off the death penalty, even though you ended up with 63 years, what was your mind state going into the prison? And how old were you at that particular time?
So I literally caught my case. I was 20 years old for like 2 months when I caught my case.
Okay.
Made it to prison that same year. I literally went through the county in like 5 months. They already had the cake baked for me. So I ain't gonna lie, man. Honestly, my mind state was literally about getting home. And you got these guys, when you go through your process and you in the county jails and guys like, oh, youngster, you'll be home in 10 to 15 years. like, they
Yeah.
giving you these false hopes, you know. And when you start doing time and you start meeting people who've been down for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, who don't plan to go home, who literally gonna tell you like this is my home and I'm never going home and they're gonna bury me right out back. And like you realize that this could be me,
Right.
you know. And so when I got those number of years, I start adding up how old I'm gonna be when I get out. That's the first thing I start. I say I'm 20 now. Boom, half of that. Boom, carried it, dropped it. You know what I mean? I got to doing math. I love numbers. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I realized that, okay, I said, okay, cool. Well, let's say I'll be 52 years old when I come home. If I was to do all my sentence, I get my 4 years time cut. I'll be 48. Okay, 48. I'm playing basketball with 48 years old in prison. People who 50 years old still active playing basketball. I say, okay, I can do 48 because if they still active like this, I still got enough time to have some kids and be able to be active with them. Like that was my mentality, that was my mind state because I'm a legacy driven person. So
Mm-hmm.
because I think legacy, in order for your legacy to live on, you have to bear seed, or your name have to go on
Right.
and form. You know what I mean? And that's like one of the chosen ways in order to make your legacy to continue. You know, and so I was thinking that way immediately going in. That I was gonna find a way out, and I didn't know how it was gonna come. Like God gave me that way. You know what I mean? Like it was like He preordained for me to come home, the way that I did. Now, mind you, that with all my time cuts, my out day I still with 48 years old. Bro, I still got 3.5 more years to make it there to that age.
Right.
And I've been home for 2.5 years. You know what I mean? And so, like, me getting fakes. So let me just say this, since we on the subject about the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really want the audience to know this, because there's so many different restrictions on people who have similar cases as mine, right? So my case was lifestyle, bad choices, so many different things happen in the street lifestyle. And in my case, a man ended up deceased, right? That I did time for, right? So myself and two co-defendants, right? So I was the oldest at 20, right? So
Wow.
all the young men, right, who all life was taken at one point in time, some to the system, some to the one to the grave, right? And because we had the opportunity, yes, I said the opportunity, to go to prison, to be able to become new people, to be able to change the paradigm in your mind, if you was able to take advantage of those universities, then now you set yourself up for success,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the thing what I want the people to know is that, like, people who literally go through the worst of crimes, no difference than you had the worst of addicts, the people who've been through the worst of the worst are some of the best once they come to the other side. So they restrict us from being able to change life. I was involved with a man whose life no longer exists. So you know how much more I value life now?
Facts.
I took that for granted at one time.
Yeah.
But you restrict me from being able to give life to the lifeless that's out here walking dead. So I say that to the people who not necessarily have to be in position, but who got an ear, who can talk to the people in position. Because at the end of the day, what's happening is, now more often, jobs are starting to recognize that the system that you had in play is not necessarily working for this day and age. And so more people are starting to require you have lived experience. Listen, man, I took an AA class, AA NA drug class, when I was locked up. The guy that came in was fresh from school. He had never been addicted to anything, but he was certified. Listen, man, the man didn't get no respect. Like,
Right.
we could even, he may have had a good message, but we realize we are people, we human beings. We get the right to choose. Sometimes we choose wrong, sometimes we choose right. But at the end of the day, bro, most of us, because I'm gonna be honest, like, it's still a lot of things that we have to wake up to. But most of us are not woke in every area of our life. And
Right.
sometimes it comes with who we listen to versus the message itself. And in certain cases, the lived experience is going to be what we pay attention to, because we want to know what you went through.
Absolutely.
That's why iron sharpens iron. You got to have some iron to sharpen this iron, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Absolutely.
just true. Like, you got to been through some smoke. How you gonna tell me about some smoke and you ain't been through none?
Right.
So at the end of the day, like, that's why I believe that, like, our success is starting to be greater and greater, just because of the simple fact that, like, we literally out here giving ourselves of our lived experience, which is our actual life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so now it's just a point about getting the right people to be able to put us in the right position so we can affect more. You know what I mean?
Okay.
one thing for sure is this. This what I've been learning. So for anything that I can't do as a professional, I could do it in nonprofit.
Right.
For whatever job you won't give me, I can own that same type of business. Right?
Yep.
So what's happening is they actually are applying a certain level of pressure for us to accept to be able to create that something precious that come up out of that thing. You know what I mean? Because you're forcing me to own my own business. You're forcing me to run my own organization. Why? Because you didn't give me the opportunity to do so.
Right.
But because God gave me this, I'm on a mission. It's my purpose to be able to do this. Then now I have to do it in this manner to where you have no control. You know? So the bad thing about all of that is just the process just takes a little longer. But outside of that, the work got to get done. It has to.
That part.
It has to get done.
Yes, sir. So we got quite a few comments jumping in the chat. Um, so we have Steve, and this one definitely jumped out at me because I seen iron sharpens iron in it. Says to talk a bit about the Iron Sharpens Iron program.
You want to take that, or you want me?
We both can. I'm gonna let you start, and then I'll pull the anchor.
Okay. So Iron Sharper Iron, founded by Jamarcus himself, is a group of men, all just as involved, formerly incarcerated, for those who are not familiar with that term, who's putting in work in the community. Our primary um, market or industry is the reentry, which basically deals with people who are in situations that we came from, or either coming from under a situation that we came from, being incarcerated. Our other market, which definitely probably going to get way, way more steam now, is the juveniles, or as what term you use, bro? The with the youth.
At risk youth.
Yeah, at risk youth, or the kids that really don't have a voice, I should say. Um, we more or less we create the system. That's what we do. We create the system. That is one of the areas we work on. Not only advocacy, but we try to intervene before anything ever takes place in mentorships. We trying to create a system to help those avoid the system. Uh, man, listen, iron sharpens iron is to keep you on a schedule like that. my schedule, my schedule stay full. No, but because you are the founder, bro, I definitely want you to take that. But I do want to say that Iron Sharpens Iron is primarily all over the state. We do have something that I do think, especially our viewers, need more and more advantage of. The support group that the women have. What's the name of that one?
The Just Family Network.
The Just Family Network. So the Just Family Network is a network, a support group for people who deal with people uh, who are incarcerated or post incarceration. And it's a family network of people who just basically trying to figure it out on how to either deal with someone who's still in there, how to find better ways to manage, maintain, and function, or how to be able to relate to people who really are unrelatable because of the mind state that we're forced to have under those circumstances, and also post incarceration. Um, why a lot of questions that I get specifically from a lot of people is, why are you going to hang out with some of the same people you was incarcerated with, or as if that's an issue. But if you've done 21 years of your life in a situation, those people that you've done the most time with, you pretty much know them more than you know your own family. And so there is some vulnerability there, and there is an openness that we have created from trust that we've built with one another that we don't necessarily believe that we have. And so we kind of know how to deal with one another to be able to support one another. And that's just one of the things that we do. And in order for you guys to be able to understand that and to tap into our world and to see why come we can never be on the same page, it's just about getting involved with that community to see how other people are dealing with these type of issues. And so that's one of the best things I think that I don't think gets enough attention with Iron Sharpers Iron. But you can give us the technical aspect of it.
So, so as he stated, Iron Sharpers Iron is a collective of justice involved individuals who have all done time, all came back home, um, in citizen mode, living life the right way, and we made a conscious effort to be the change that we want to see. That's what allows us to go back into these prisons, to go back into these reentry centers, after doing the kind of time that we have, because we once sat in those seats and understand how important um the credibility component is, having been through what they've been through and come where they come from. And so you're speaking a different kind of language than somebody who's coming in to talk to you and haven't been through it. um Having sat in those seats, I remember countless times, like Thomas was with the guy in AA and NA. And Kevin mentioned in the chat room that, he probably never did drugs, and that was the case with most of the programming that we took. You know what I mean? So while we were appreciative that there were programs available, like, we couldn't connect. It was like going through the motions, and we had to put in, the work to save ourselves. So what we do is we've put in the work. So now we concentrate on rehabilitation, prevention, in the work that we do, and assuring that, some of these youngsters don't have to go through what we went through, that we can reach them, talk to them, give them a voice, let them know that we understand. And in a nutshell, we're being the change that we want to see. When we were sitting in those seats, what did we need? And we've decided to become that, um, inside the prisons and out here in society. Because as he stated, you lose connection with your people. Our most formidable years we spent inside prison. So the guys that I did time with, that became my new family. I know a lot of them closer than I know people that I've known since birth. So we banded together, one, to be each other's accountability partners in a world that has become foreign to us, and to go back and extend an olive branch and help some other brothers come and land on their feet as well. So I often like to say we figured out the cheat code, and we go back to give it to them, that everything that they taught you in prison, throw it in the trash.
For
Cause they
real.
cause they none of it finna work out here. You taught to be heartless in there. You stripped of your humanity, and like, don't none of that work when you out here like trying to find employment.
None of it.
The employer don't care how many people you beat up. They don't care how many people you stabbed. They don't care how much time you did. He cared if you can get the product done.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing, man. We working to change the narrative. And if you always want to know more, you can go to Iron Sharpens Iron, WAST.org, and check the website out. Follow us, different ways to contact us, support, donate, the whole nine. Appreciate you asking the question and inquiring. So I wanted to go back. We had a couple more questions in here too, um, that I wanted to touch on. They're going crazy in this chat too. I can't even keep up with all of it. You been paying attention to the chat too, bro?
No, I just see one on here talking about, do we have housing? Actually, we need some funding for some housing.
Absolutely, because that's definitely one of our goals is to open up some transitional housing um, here in Indiana for guys coming home. You know, incarceration is the second leading cause of homelessness here in Indiana because of the housing issue. So that is a component that we definitely working on because you know, if you can provide, you know, if a man can have a roof, a man or a woman, if you can have a roof over your head and have employment, like your chances of recidivism drastically decreases.
Mm,
And so with that, that has become one of the hardest entities, industries to like really break into. But yet we still fighting because
right.
we understand like we dealing with a system. And like it's not a flawed system. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do,
Mm,
which means we gotta work that much harder to change it. It takes a system to replace a system.
yeah.
So we gotta build, and that's one component that we working on, man. I understand housing is a very tough mountain to climb, but it's one that it's a challenge that we're accepting and working on, and we will figure it out. You can mark my word on that.
Mm,
So Misty asked, how in your mind do you come to terms with that much time? I'm gonna be honest, I lost it when I heard 20. I can't even fathom 60 plus, even doing only 50% of it. So you want
yeah.
to touch on that a little bit?
So for me, man, it's like I was facing no more life in the world. So it went from absolutely never making it back home to making it back home at some point in time. I was cool with that. You know what I mean? Like it really was that simple. It's like choosing between the best and the worst. Like the best thing can happen is I get there sometime. The worst thing can happen is me never getting there. Just I can count real high. And so what I realized is that I came to accept the fact that I'm really about to be doing some time. But was it the amount of time that they want me to do, or was it the amount of time that I wanted to do? And so it still took me some time, even doing the time, to realize that I didn't even have to do all the time that they said I was going to do.
Right.
But it really took, man, it took it took some re-educating myself. It took literally a shift transition in my mind several different times. Because not
Mhm.
only do you got to have hope to be able to believe that it can happen, but you literally have to put in the work. So a lot of people are familiar with, uh, in the Bible where it say faith without works is dead.
Mhm.
The whole time where I got hope that something is possible, I still had to learn other possible avenues. I had to research other possibilities. And once you start seeing evidence that the possibility could come true, that's motivation to start carrying it out.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you one thing that got me out of prison that is gonna help me excel out here in the world, and I'll be farther along than what people may assume that I should have been after doing the time. Discipline.
Right.
That thing is discipline. Man, I
Mhm.
stayed on top of my bunk for for at least 2, 3 years straight, just doing law work, not hanging out, kicking it. I stopped watching TV. I used to love what hip hop Atlanta.
Love and hip hop.
Love and hip hop, all of the hip hops. You hear me? Listen, I wasn't missing the beat, right? So what happened is, man, I really lost the taste for anything that wasn't freedom.
Mm.
So what happened with me is this, bro. I lived, according to prison standards, I lived a good life in prison, because just like out here in society, there's a classes level. You know what I mean? So I wasn't in
Mm-hmm.
the class in prison. I probably was in the upper class, right? And the thing about it is, like, so other prisoners will look at you, like, oh man, you doing all right, you eating, you keep money on your books, you keep commissary. But I looked at it like, for every day, I'm looking forward to the next day in prison. I got a nice fat pillow, comfortable at night. Why I'm comfortable in a place I don't want to be in? I was tasting that poop. What you say? I was tasting a little bit of that poop and liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm literally, you say you. It's just like out here in society when people say they want to do something but don't act on it. Ain't no different than when you in that situation. We are people. Your situation is your situation. Your location is your location. So what I found that I was making my bed too comfortable. I had a pillow. Like, well, what am I? Why am I comfortable? I didn't necessarily need to be miserable. I needed to be focused. So I had to discipline myself to start making a bed for myself in the world. Start putting pillows in the location. Start putting mattresses and comforters in the location that wasn't inside of prison.
Right.
So until I changed my mentality, I literally needed to do those things that was tangible, that literally is the pillow, is the mattress, is the location, to set myself up to think that I can believe that that's what I'm laying, I'm making my bed at.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when I realized that I was looking forward to the next day in prison, like, it was hard for me to, I didn't want to swallow that pill. Like, what you mean? I never wanted to come to prison. And I'm telling myself that I'm making a comfortable bed in prison. It left a sour taste in my mouth. And so once I got focused, stopped depending on lawyers, you know what I mean, and really just said, man, listen, don't nobody want me home more than me. So I'm gonna put all of the work in. I stopped doing everything. I mean, I worked out and pretty much studied, man, and study, and got myself in court, and just went along with the process. But I believed the whole time, that I wasn't gonna do that time, and just so happened to be in a blessed situation to be able to see that through. And I look at so many different people who done made it and who get out here and end up back in there. It was a lot of them that made, like, a couple of times during the time I was there. I seen them after they done went home and what they
Yep.
did with the opportunity, and it left a sour taste in my mouth. So usually, you try to look out for somebody who come through with nothing. I left nothing with nothing. You couldn't get a grunya, because at the end of the day, I was disappointed. I was
Yeah.
disappointed because oftentimes, like, we put a lot of work into each other, to say, man, hold yourself accountable. We gonna hold you accountable if you touch them bricks or when you touch
Right.
them.
Yep.
And people to come back and left a sour taste in my mouth. And for me to get out here, listen, man, I know that God gave me certain gifts that He didn't give a lot of people. You know, and what's crazy about him is He choose to use them when He choose to use them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I always had a
Third.
gift for finance and hustle. All that went out the window when it came to freedom. Like, all of my weaknesses, He turned to my strengths. So all of my strengths, I'm just now starting to get off into them, because He's saying, like, okay, now it's time for you to use those gifts that I give you. Just because you recognize some gifts that you was given, don't mean it's the proper time to use them. We are given a many of gifts. It's just not a lot of us tap into them. And I started to realize that. So that's why a lot of things I do, I'm just led to do them. I don't plan a whole lot of things outside of what's on my schedule. You know what I mean? But some things just organically comes my way, and God to give me a vision to be able to know how to make that manifest. And so, like I say, like, some of these things, like, I don't know, like, it's just something that I was given from birth. And now things are starting to take fold. And the best thing about all of this is that while I'm working on me, I'm making contributions to other people's lives. You know what I mean? And the best thing about that is, had I still been in prison, this wouldn't be possible.
Right.
So my purpose is greater than me. So nobody got to worry about me failing. You know what I mean? There is no worry about that because there is no failure. There is only lessons. You know, that's just what I tell when I mentor too. That's like one of the terms I use. We don't fail. We learn lessons, right? But
Yeah.
like, you have to accept the fact that, because the question was about, accepting that much time. You have to accept the fact that you have to do the time. And then once you accept the fact that you can do the time, you will find a mental peace that allows you to do day to day. And then you got to refocus, because what they say ain't necessarily what God say. You know what I mean? So then you got to refocus, and that comes with a spiritual component and everything else. But I'm led to do a lot of things, and that's one of the things that God had a plan for me that I didn't even know. All I did was stay disciplined enough to carry it out.
That part. Um, Something big you said was about making yourself comfortable and looking forward to the next day in prison. Um, and it's crazy because I think a lot of us wound up in that place. Like prison kind of it kind of breeds that. In a way, like you like you go in there with so much time that your mind is your default setting is on survive.
Hmm.
And like you talked about levels. Surviving prison means something different to everybody, depending on their level.
Right.
Some people survive in prison is literally just staying alive to the next day. Some people surviving in prison is making more money than I had today. Like
Right.
they not concerned about nobody killing them. Like they're of a different stature, right? But everybody wants to survive this sentence. And we find ourselves in the sake of survival getting too comfortable.
Mm.
I went into prison like money was my god at that age. Like I came into prison not really even caring about the sentence.
Mm.
I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna get enough money to buy my way out of here.
Mm.
And so that started to make me comfortable because we all know with money comes more comfortability.
Mm.
I remember having a phone conversation with my mom. Never forget it to this day in 1998. And she told me, "You act like you like it there."
Mm.
Floored me, bro.
Mm.
Floored me. And as a result, we kind of fell out for a minute. And she pulled the safety net from up under me and made me grow up.
Mm.
Like, and I today I understand it. Like, what kind of conversation you finna have with a fool that's talking about he don't like this, but he trying to make it comfortable? Like, what kind of conversation could we really have? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, until you eventually get to that place. But I've come to realize throughout this journey that when we go to prison, man, like we have these me versus me moments where we have to face the man in the mirror at some point throughout this period of incarceration.
Right.
And I've come to believe that one of three things happens when you have that face to face moment with yourself, that man in the mirror. And I love that you always play that song, right? That
Yes, sir.
man in the mirror, because those are the moments that we have to have. But what happens is when we have that man in the mirror moment, you either ignore what you see, you don't like what you see, and it activates change, or you find out that you comfortable in your own mess
Mm.
and you just sit in it.
Mm.
One of three things gonna happen. And you know which one happens the most? People ignore it.
Mm.
They ignore it. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror, like you gotta face the good, the bad, and the ugly. And some of us, our waters is so muddy, we don't want to look at the debris.
Mm.
We done wreak so much havoc in life. We done destroy communities, like lives have been taken, like people been hurt, like there's destruction in our past.
Right.
People don't have the courage to face that.
Mm.
And I've realized that, man, a lot of the guys that we did time with, man, I've seen it, man. They did not want to face that man in the mirror. So they
Mm-hmm.
ignored it. They found way, we concentrate on finding healthy ways to cope.
Right.
They were just looking for a way to cope.
Hey, bro, you know what's crazy, man, is this though. That's people out here too.
Absolutely.
Not literally like listen, bro. So I think the work that we do is so vital because of what society has already the labels they already have us under, the restriction they already have us under, right? So we have people in general society who literally will not hold themselves accountable because at the end of the day, as a people, we are our biggest enemy. I am my biggest enemy to myself. No difference than the
Mhm.
next person, right? But it's so vital that we do the work with people who are coming home because of the scrutiny that you already under.
Yes.
It has really nothing to do with jobs. It has to do with your place in society. So the time that you have to isolate yourself, if you can find a place to be able to look that man in the mirror and hold yourself accountable
Yep.
for your part in your life, being as great as you are, it still landed you in prison. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So taking that time, I think is more vital for us to be able to look ourselves in the mirror before we come home because you're going into society with people who ain't even thought about holding themselves accountable.
Mm.
But
Mm.
most likely you're gonna have to stay with somebody when you get released. So it's no difference than dealing with the mental health crisis that we have going on. A lot of people ignore it or don't want to admit to it. So we deal with forms of PTSD and all other forms of mental illness that go undiagnosed.
Right.
Think it's trauma going on in our communities, in some of these households. Some of them that what we going back to.
Right.
So you bring toxic to toxic, thinking the chemistry project ain't about to happen, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is like because there is not others to be able to do this outside of people who've been there, it's necessary, bro. And I do believe that even if people don't say it, because it's something that they can't do. Because no difference than how I looked at the man that came in there that never did drugs. That's how people will look at people who never been to where they've been.
Right.
And so it's only right that we play that role because it's so much potential there that we can literally affect. Like, listen, bro, look how long you've been home. Look how long I've been home. You know how many lives we've touched? That's just two of the Iron Men, right? Just imagine we building up an army of men who's coming back to society to be able to make contributions. You just said that we took from these communities. We tortured
Yeah.
them. We we took from them. We took value out of the community. So as I said, I got a many a gift, so I'm in business. I'm starting to do some real estate and things like that. One of the factors that's considered when you look for location, 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 which is the first 3 rules of real estate, crime rate.
Right.
Crime rate is one of the things that determine the value of your property. So you mean to tell me it's not important for me to invest in someone who is perceived or who has been convicted as a criminal to become a contribution?
Hmm.
It's an untapped market. And once we get the proper funding, bro, listen, the law's gonna change and everything.
That
Because
part.
at the end of the day, once they see how valuable this is, and they getting it for free right now. You know what I mean? Once they see how valuable this is, man, and I promise you, I hope it comes from the private sector.
Hmm.
Once they see how valuable this is, man, you'll get a whole lot more with a whole lot less. And that's
No
what
doubt.
you know what I mean? You go get the wholesale price for the pennies, and then you put your tax on it. So
Yeah.
you can have one man that can affect 10 people versus one man that can affect 2. You're gonna go with that one that can affect 10.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things that's going on, and that's just one area that we in. Listen, man, I know we ain't got much time left, but this what I want. This what I want the people to know, man. I want the people to know that we here. We ain't going
We
nowhere.
ain't going nowhere.
It's work. Nah, but real talk though, man. I do want people to know that what we got going on, man, it can't continue without the proper funding. You know what I mean? I'm realizing that now because I'm putting in a whole lot of man hours, a whole lot of work for the free, which I'm gonna do anyway. But
Right.
regardless, we talking about effective work, being capable of being able to do that. You know what I mean? This is a capitalist society. The problem with capitalist society and what we do is there is no morality in capitalism.
Facts.
They don't care that we doing this. They
Right.
care capital that we can create. So
Yeah.
fuck to make you some money. You know what I mean? Then we'll make you some money if we can serve a purpose. Because our purpose is to invest in men and women for that part to be able to have a heart for the people who have a similar lived experience as they do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And on top of that, parents, when we in y'all community, we affecting y'all kids, please communicate with us. We need them permission slips signed. But no, man, we only get a certain amount of time when we do deal with the youth. And we really need the parents' contributions, man. It's not like it was back in the day. You can't discipline nobody else's kids.
Right.
And so we need that community. We need that village. We need the partnership. We want to take up some of your slack. We know you told him, you know what I mean, to take out the trash can, he ain't do it. But if I give it to him in a different way, he probably do it, and you don't even know it came from me because you've been telling it to him the whole time. Sometimes, especially dealing with these impressionable youth, it ain't necessarily the message, it's the messenger. And sometimes we find ourselves putting these kids in these tight situations where we leave them voiceless. You know, so man, it's a whole lot more that man that I can get off into. But like I say, man,
Mhm.
I really just like my purpose in life is to add value to other people, and I'm gonna continue to do that. And through Iron Sharpens Iron, and through the many other organizations that I partner with, and I don't even want to get no shots out to the different organizations I work with. I want everybody to be nameless because I don't want no credit for nothing I do. There's no if it's something good going on in the community, I will partner with you. I will link in with you. I will tag team, just have everything in order. Our think tank, The whole time is if there's a platform, I'll be a resource if I'm able to.
Man. So this was 2 or 5.
It's 2 or 5. So next time we get off into the next one, bro. Listen, we going business. Listen. So it's another thing I don't know if a lot of people know. They may have heard if they knew me, but maybe my 8th or 9th year, I had learned the stock market. I learned it so well to where I became the teacher of the class from newspapers. Literally, I literally was that detailed. And so I actually was given the opportunity to be able to teach the class. So finances is still one of the gifts. But like I say, sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. My bag ain't all the way together to be teaching nobody finances, even though I got the knowledge. I don't want to be able to give you something that you're gonna have to put in your pocket or you're gonna have to put it under the rug. I want to give you something that you can apply right now, and my life gonna be an example. So if it come around next year, my situation gonna be different, and we're gonna talk some money, and we're gonna have some opportunity for some people. That's one thing I'm telling you. You can believe them words.
Hey, Eternal, I think he picked the mic back up and then dropped it again. Hey, man. As usual, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. It's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to work beside you, man. Like I said, when I meet good people, I keep them close, man. And in the words of Darvis, man, I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, man. Everybody that tuned in, man. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love, the support, for spending an hour of your time with us, man. Hopefully, we brought value through the conversation. As always, man, love is love. Make sure y'all tap into the website, Iron Sharpens Iron, WAST.org, and see what Iron Sharpens Iron got going on. Opportunities to volunteer, opportunities for board members, which we're currently looking to fill at this moment. And if you led to financially support, there are ways to donate. But make sure y'all tap in, see what we got going on, man. We continuing to keep this train moving, to have impact, and to change the narrative. And love is love, man. I appreciate y'all. I see everybody again next Wednesday. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.